Where's the Zone of the Enders 2 review? I don't know, somewhere. I'm working on it, I promise. But I've been busy. I have other obligations, such as completing Persona 3 Portable. Yeah, maybe that's not busy work, but it was fun. I actually streamed the whole game on Twitch for some friends who introduced me to the series. Atlus is one of those publishers I don't really have much familiarity with. Most of the games I've seen from them or played are definitely not their prime titles, so to speak. I think I've only played 4 Atlus games. I liked most of them, but absolutely hated one of them. It seems like they work with a lot of those niche developers who make things that appeal to weeaboos, which isn't exactly my demo. In fact, I first learned about Persona when I entered a friend's room, saw a myriad of figurines, all of the same character, and said, "Who is that, and why do you have these?" And his response was, "Oh, she's from Persona." So I think for that reason alone, I was actually pretty apprehensive about playing one. Fortunately, I was very pleasantly surprised. When you really think about it, it's such an odd mishmash of things. Standard JRPG party elements, randomized dungeon crawling, Pokemon-like customization of monsters, and of course, life sim and visual novel elements. But it all fits together really nicely to create something that was, for me, a pretty unique experience. I've been out of the JRPG game for a while now. I haven't played a lot of them lately. But this one definitely had enough going on that was unique and interesting to pull me in. The high school setting was handled a lot better than I initially expected. All the characters seem fairly believable, and their voice acting is much better than I would have expected. The combat is simple, but very fun. There's a huge emphasis on enemy weak points, so that makes the battles go by pretty fast. Doesn't always apply to bosses, but I guess that's to be expected. Once you figure out the strategy you need to defeat them, it's just kind of hacking away until their numbers go to 0. I guess you could say that more than just boss health is artificially inflated. This game took me almost 80 hours to beat, and because it runs on a calendar system where the game can only be completed at the very end of that calendar, you're gonna feel every minute, every hour. It's all building up to that point. Time is pretty important in this game, but maybe it didn't have to be quite that long. A lot of the times the game will introduce a character or concept and not really do anything with it for several in-game months, which can amount to a hell of a lot of hours. It can be a little tricky to follow at certain points because you might have just forgotten since that happened a really long time ago. I guess what I'm saying is maybe the game didn't have to be set over that much time, and maybe the dungeon could have had a lot less floors. I don't know if it would have made the game any worse. It's pretty satisfying as it is, and I didn't feel like I got bored at any point, but that does lead to the issue of how you spend your time. Most of the time, I either found myself spending a lot of time doing social things or a lot of time in the dungeon. It's a bit of a problem because they're drastically different types of gameplay, and you can't really affect one element of the game in the other. For better or worse, it's a big experience, and I think that's really the only thing that could rub people the wrong way. I've sunk an embarrassing amount of time into a lot of games, but for some reason it can still be a big commitment to know that you won't even complete the game until you're about 80 hours in. Besides that, there's not much negative I really have to say about this. I don't like the fact that when your main character dies the game ends instantly, since theoretically an ally could have just revived him, and it does annoy me that some of these school questions are very clearly things only Japanese students would know. Maybe they should have translated those a little better. But besides that, I loved it. Really, I did. I definitely recommend this game to just about anybody. It might look a little intimidating in a certain way, but it's a hell of a lot of fun, and it'll make you wish you grew up in an anime high school. Wait, did I just say that? Anyways, I'm not sure if there's really a definitive version of this game. There's either FES, which is on the PS2, and I think can be downloaded on the PlayStation Store, or the portable version, which you can get on the PlayStation TV or the Vita. The tricky thing is, what version of this game should you play? It's been remade twice, and you can probably get both of those remade versions fairly easily. I'd go with portable since it's what I played. From my understanding, it has a lot of clear advantages. You can't control party members in the other versions, which sounds like a real nightmare. Plus, it has double the replay value because you can play as a female, and that changes the social elements drastically. However, the presentation of the story is a bit iffy. It's obvious that the UMD space was a huge concern. Everything was compressed to the point of being a very bland visual novel style cutscene, so there isn't too much excitement in the way that they're presented. If that's what you really care about, you may want to try to get FES instead. but I think everything else is worth it. At the end of the day, I think it's a game that appeals surprisingly well to people who don't like a lot of modern JRPGs. I mean, really stood out for me. I can't wait to play Persona 4, and maybe even Persona 5 someday. I'm hooked, and maybe if you try this game, you'll be hooked too. Just not that hooked.